primary ignition.
I'm Aidan Barton. I play Baby Luke and Leia, and you're watching the virtual Cantina Network.
Excellent.
Hi, everyone. Happy
Hey.
Hello.
happy Revenge of the
Revenge
5th.
of the 5th is
Revenge
arrived.
of the
Yes.
Hope everyone had
Mark's personal holiday.
It really is. I really hope everyone had a lovely May the 4th. I hope you had a great time spending it with the network, doing fun stuff in the Star Wars space, and watching Tales of the Underworld. We are going to be doing a full watch along of all 6 of the mini episodes today and talking through all things dark side. We got some killer characters in this arc. Well, welcome everyone to the show. Since we don't have our names underneath, let's go around and everyone introduce yourselves and tell everyone who we are. I'm Mark. I'm the programming director here at the VCN, and I host Clone Wars Revisited.
I'm Sarah. I am one of the
Hi,
new co-hosts.
I'm Sherry.
Nope.
Go ahead.
Sarah,
ahead,
JB,
Sarah.
then Sherry. There we go.
We can't get it together this morning. More coffee.
Right.
I'm one of the new co-hosts of Daughters of the Galaxy that airs every other Wednesday on the VCN. Also helping out with the Andor Season 2 watch-along.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jason, go by JB. I'm the other half of the Barnes crew with Sarah, and just excited to be a guest host today.
Hi, I'm Sherry. I'm one of the moderators for the Facebook page, and I'm also one of the co-hosts for the Andor watch-alongs.
Yay.
Welcome, guys. You might have seen several of us and many other hosts on the network yesterday doing our big May the 4th sort of, I call it the annual wrap-up. It's like our New Year's Eve.
It is.
What everyone's looking forward to. A lot of people were excited about this show, and I think it delivered.
I did too.
Full transparency, I've only seen half. I watched the Asaj episodes, so I'll be watching live
You're
the Cat
weak.
stuff because I did not wake up early enough. I was up late,
Tisk.
so I didn't have time. But I did watch my girl Asaj return, and it was lovely. Overall, what did you guys think before we get into the episode? Like high level thoughts.
Sarah?
We got a split vote over there.
Yeah, went up, went down. Yeah,
Okay.
I was really enjoyed the first half. And as I mentioned before, the second half, I was filing my nails and buffing my cuticles. Not that it was bad. It was exceptional animation, really good writing. I thought that the entire production of the show was outstanding. I just don't care. I don't care about the character. I think it's gonna hit home really hard with a bunch of people that do love it. I thought it was an interesting origin story for that character. It just didn't do it for me.
I loved all 6 of them. I mean, I thought the writing was great. The Asaj is probably, that arc is probably my favorite out of the 2. I mean, each episode is a short story, but they connect, which is a tough thing to do, to have standalone episodes but still have the arc. So I thought all of that was great. The production values are fantastic. I've always loved the Underworld seedy characters, and if you think about it, you only get 2 beats of it in the original Star Wars. You get the Cantina, and then you get the bounty hunter scene in Empire. And that's sort of it. And then we're off to the races. We get a little bit more of it in the prequels, and then it just sort of opens up the world. So George just sort of sprinkles this a little bit. And here we are many years later being able to just live through some of these great characters and this part of the galaxy. So it's a really, really great addition. And when you watch all 6 of them, it's like almost a full-length movie.
I liked all 6 episodes also. I was a little surprised the way the Asaj the way the episodes where I guess I was used to more than 3 different points in time as previous tales, and this one seemed more linear, like they were closer together.
Yeah, agreed.
But I did love seeing the backstory of Cad, so we kind of know where he comes from and see where he gets some of his characteristics and his hat.
Hat. I better get an origin for this hat.
Oh, you do.
You do.
So,
The theme of redemption is actually one that comes in both of these 2 arcs.
Mhm.
In different ways.
In different ways and different results. And I think it'll be interesting to talk about it after the end.
I did notice kind of a similar thematic parting of the ways like we saw in Tales of the Empire, where we had the Morgan and the Barris stories, and they both were similar to begin with and then split in different ways. And so I felt like we were kind of seeing a continuation of that idea with these 2 different story arcs in a way. Not as obvious because we're well past Asaj's origin point at this moment in time. But
on her second life, as it were. Ahsoka and Dooku had a little bit of that too, where like they were both sort of disillusioned with the Jedi, and then they take very different paths because of it. And so I mean, the big question is like the light versus the dark, and like the decisions you make and the path that puts you on. I like that we use the word path. So it is very that. So yeah, I'm curious. All right, I'm curious to see what Cad Bane does. I feel like he's going to be all about justice, which isn't necessarily like being a light side person, but
I picked a different word. I picked a different word.
Was it revenge?
No,
there's a fine line.
I can tell you, or we can wait and talk about it when we get to
wait.
the episode.
Yeah, I don't want to. Okay. Yeah, I think we won't go with the spoil. There was a question about timeline, and so I did look up one thing. The original death of Asaj Ventress is in 19 BBY, so not long after the Empire is formed. Like that's pretty early. We'll call it like immediately past the Clone Wars, right? And Order 66 and everything.
Yeah.
And then we see her in Bad Batch, which we were trying to figure out the year on that. You need your chronology out, like like we're in school. But like this definitely takes place before that, before she ends up on her path to then like join up with Omega and everyone.
Yeah, that is interesting. You're right. That is probably beforehand. It was kind of hard to tell. I wasn't sure at first when we first get into the arc. I wasn't sure. I was like, was this after Bad Batch or before? Like, I think, or somewhere close by? Yeah.
This gives you, it tries to answer the question of why she is who she is when we see her in Bad Batch.
Okay.
And I think she gets it from her association with the other main character in this.
But then my question is, what happened to them?
Yeah, they're off on their own doing their thing. It's a big galaxy. I don't know where you are at all times.
Yeah, well, that's why I wasn't sure if maybe it came after.
When we get introduced to him, I'll tell you who I thought he was at first.
Yes. Oh, we have theories. Okay, so because we are watching all 6 episodes, we're going to start the watch along like pretty quickly. So, everyone break out your Disney Plus machines. We have 6 mini episodes. They're each about 15 minutes. We are going to, as soon as a skip episode hits, we're going to press the button so we can sort of flow straight through. Otherwise, we'll be here for days. But let's get rolling on episode 1. And the title of that one was it The Path Forward?
A Way Forward.
Yeah, A Way Forward. There we go. And we get another Inquisitor, which is great. Okay.
We do.
So, that's always good stuff. All right, we're only going to do the countdown once. And if you think I know where that 10-second countdown is, it's like running joke, because every studio is slightly different. Okay, here we go. I'm going to hit the countdown, and then we're going to press play on Tales of the Underworld episode 1.
Uh-oh. There you are. All right. I may be behind, so don't wait for me.
Okay.
My iPad decided to freeze. So, how's your streaming, JB? We're on the same Wi-Fi signal, so we want to make sure we're not messing each other up here.
I'm still at the robot intros. It just said Star Wars as the logo. Which I think is repetitive to have a Lucasfilm logo and then a Star Wars logo. It's not like Lucasfilm has many other properties.
This is gorgeous. Yes. I love this entire background scene, everything. I'm assuming they're on Dathomir. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you're right. This is absolutely
I just always picture
Stunning,
Dathomir as
beautiful.
red, so I'm assuming this is like underworld. This is underground.
Obi-Wan looks so sad. And if you read Dark Disciple, this hits even harder because we know
and we
Quinlan
love
and
the
Asaj's
connections they're
relationship.
making here, not only to the novel but also to the Kenobi series.
We're also not decanonizing the novel, which I think a lot of people were concerned about. They were like, we've read this amazing book. It told this incredible story.
Well,
and
because he already did it. Filoni already did it. And as I ranted for about 5 minutes here at the beginning, I'm like, well, good for you. It only took you 3 series in to figure it out. But I'm still waiting for an apology to the entire team that put together the E.K. Johnston novel. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's why one Dark Side tendency, I held a grudge. And I'm like, that was not cool, bro. This is an EU book that you already wrote off the table 10 years ago, but you're going to knock out your Pillar publishing book from day one? Really? Okay.
So I'm going to fully admit, since I haven't read the novel, this makes me want to go read it. So this is moved up on my to-read list.
And I'm thinking, I thought I read it, but maybe I didn't.
I read
No, I
synopsis
think I
of it.
read the Count Dooku one.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
radio play.
Yeah,
type.
the audio. Yep. Yeah, the audio drama one.
Dark Disciple was at one point going to be a big arc in the Clone Wars, which would have been like the 7th season before season 7 became the final version, whatever.
Oh, interesting.
So it's an excellent story, and it's a lot of Asaj. I think it would have been like 12 episodes. This is all incredible though, and I love the green. Well, I guess it's white at the moment, but like the green magic that Mother Talzin and the Night Sisters use is also incredible.
Yeah.
This looks so expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that line. The Jedi's words are a gift to you. I thought, well, interesting. Oh, and she also doesn't say it here, does she? She just sort of almost looks embarrassed.
Yeah, and it's always this interesting thing because the Night Sisters are using a different part of the Force or use the Force differently than the Jedi. So I like
Manipulate,
the
you mean?
combination
Torture,
of the
twist?
Jedi
Sorry.
and the Night Sisters power.
And they get assumed to be evil just because they're using dark side powers, but we see time and again they have just as much humanity as any of the other characters, and in some cases more so. Like you really feel for Asajj and Old Daka and Mother Talzin. They get exterminated by Grievous. Like it's a terrible situation for that whole group. And if you play the video game Jedi Fallen Order, we get Night Sister Merrin, who is probably
everything changes here, and if you look in the background, everything is covered in cobwebs.
Tell everyone your theory that we were talking about before.
I think she made it. Well, obviously, the Night Sisters are a bit of making a deal with the devil, right? And you can see in the background, everything is changed from what it was when they first put her in there. Everything is dried out. Everything is crumbled. Everything is covered in cobwebs and dust. I think it's several years after she died. I don't think
it's all dark. It's not lit up the way it was.
And Dathomir's been demolished. Even worse than it was before. So I feel like they promised her you could come back to life. We didn't promise she'd come back to life immediately. So I feel like at least a couple of years has gone by here, and that kind of lines up with the Bad Batch, if not, the only other thing I could come up with is that maybe they were literally having to absorb all of the life force around where she was in order to bring her back to life. So maybe it was just sucking the life out of everything. I'm not sure which one it is. Those are the only 2 theories I came up with.
Good questions and not exactly answers, but I do agree. I think we've jumped in time.
At least a little bit, because you've got the stormtroopers and all that kind of stuff out here. I mean, the Empire is clearly established at this point.
That's the thing. The stormtroopers give you a sense that, like, okay, we're in Empire timing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not good enough to know what a prototype ship is, though, versus like the standard model. Like some people could look at this and be like, "We're in 4 BBY because of this version of this ship."
Right.
How, sir? I'm a licensee and I do not know. But like, there are people who are like deep in it like that. I don't. They said that she died in 19 BBY, but I don't know the exact year for this. But this feels very Imperial, like not post Clone Wars. Like it feels like we're
several
deep
years
in it.
Yeah, I have to agree.
We're definitely the Empire's established.
Yeah.
So Obi-Wan's
but
in
not
hiding.
too far, because as JB pointed out, they were still using Republic era Clone War transports.
Yes.
In these episodes.
So
while. It's not, they haven't gone completely, they haven't brought all their new mechanics. And they were talking about a new kind of ship. And I'm assuming it's some sort of Star Destroyer here, where they're talking about it in a couple episodes.
That makes sense. That would be the thing they'd be working on.
So here she's taking a job as a bouncer.
Yep.
Love it.
She's the new Ski Pruckle.
Except she would know if she was standing next to a picture of herself. She would manage to figure that out.
She's looking for a little quieter life.
Isn't that
I
a
live
running
here
theme
and I
in
don't
Star
like it.
Wars? Like they get caught up in the dark side too. You get too close to the dark or whatever, and you're like, I just need a quiet life. And then it's like you're punching people for money on like some desert planet. This is terrible.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much quiet about this.
No.
I do love that line though, that this doesn't appeal to me and I live here.
Yeah,
It is Sarah, you were saying you love the snark in this series.
I do. The I live for what snarky thing Asaj is going to say next in these episodes. They definitely made me laugh.
Can we talk about how good a job Nika Futterman did in bringing this character back and finding that voice? It is
The sighing. We
specific.
need to start a counter of how many times she goes, because I was like, there it is again, there it is again, there it is again. Like we need to start keeping count. How many in the next 3 episodes do we get the eye rolling, disgusted sigh of Asaj?
Yeah, I love that haircut too. The character model that they're using for the
I
series
really like this one. And I think, having a completely bald head before was a bold choice back when, the original micro series aired. But I also think it was just because they didn't want to try to take the time to make hair work. So I think in a way, this is also like a nod to the developing abilities of animation, that everybody's hair kind of foofs a little bit, even Asaj's.
The production capabilities got better so that we can give this lady hair. That's why a lot of people just have helmets on.
It's easier. You don't have to animate the face. Yeah. I love this right here. Shut. Just be quiet. This kid does talk a lot.
And then she tells her boss to shut too.
Which she doesn't, of course, because I was just picking up on this. She's like, I know your type. I know what you're going to do. But she gives him a chance.
I like that she's able to do the Jedi mind trick that he was trying. She's really good at it.
Well, and these are clearly stormtroopers. These are not clone trooper helmets. So we have at least started to bring in conscripts instead of all clones. So we have to be at least a couple years into established empire. I think the most annoying thing about the timeline about like 19, 18, 17 BBY is we don't have any idea of how long a calendar year is. Like in our world, it's 12 months, right? There's a big difference between January and November of a year, So if you go from January 19 BBY to November of 18 BBY, you've got a year and a half or more, So it's tough not knowing. Just because it's in a year doesn't mean it's exactly one calendar year apart. There's a lot of flexibility here. So
now, did we know in Bad Batch that her new saber was yellow?
We were talking about that.
We were. That's a good question, and I was going to look it up. I think so. I do think it was because it didn't surprise me when I saw it as yellow. So but I haven't verified. I love it. I love
a yellow saber.
Yep.
Same. Mine's purple, but maybe someday I'll manage to get a yellow one.
Love the
I have a red one, which technically is my son's.
She has a yellow one in Bad Batch.
Good.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. I don't remember the origin of that yellow blade, but it is a curved handle, which is very Count Dooku.
And hers were curved.
Yeah. And so were Ahsoka's, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember, did she have a lightsaber in season 7 of Clone Wars?
Ahsoka?
No.
Asaj.
Oh. Or was that season 6? Where did we see her pop up in Clone
Wars? We saw her in
with
season
Ahsoka?
6. And she did not have a lightsaber.
Okay.
As soon as he dropped the name Quinlan Voss, because look, when it happens in the Kenobi show, it's like one of those moments that actually like really hit me emotionally. I was like, oh my god, Obi-Wan said Quinlan. Yeah.
Yeah, and when he was in the path, and he saw all the carvings and the names and the writings everywhere in the hidden room, and he's like, Quinlan Voss was here.
Quinlan was here.
Yeah.
And then to have the two of them together going through the burial in Dathomir. I thought it was brilliantly well woven, And so my big question is so the Night Sisters told her it will cost your heart's desire to come back to life. And so my immediate thought was they brought her back after Quinlan had
was
already somehow lost his life trying to save Jedi, because we never actually see him. It's just a rumor. It's a name out there. And it also kind of made me think of shoot, I just lost her name. In Rebels, the the Jedi, the bones that the Inquisitor was using.
Oh, Luminara?
Thank you, Luminara.
Yeah.
It's a name out there, right? Everybody
Yeah.
knows the name Quinlan Vos. Quinlan Vos is associated with the path, but I'm like, maybe it's just a name everybody knows. It doesn't necessarily mean he's alive. So I was,
He
here's
could
our
be a
new
ghost.
Inquisitor.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Inquisitor, they've got to make an entrance.
They're such drama queens, I swear. Is that like part of the programming? Is it a requirement for Inquisitors? You have to have a flair for the dramatic
right.
in order to be allowed in?
I think there's also some hubris where, you know, you're so connected to the dark side. You've been training under Darth Vader. No one could ever take you down, regardless of who it is. And especially these Jedi who are untrained and don't know what's up. And he does kind of like wipe the floor with her.
He kinda
Like,
does.
she's out of
He
practice
absolutely
and
does.
he
Right.
like
That was a little
kicks her ass.
satisfying, to tell you the truth, because she was
Yeah.
always so bloody irritating in the
Oh,
Clone Wars.
and
So it was
actually-
actually kind of nice to watch her get beat up. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Oh my God.
Stay
the
down,
Force-
girl. Stay down.
When
what-
when she fights Luminara back in like Clone Wars season 1 and she like wipes the floor with Luminara, I was like, oh, I love this lady. But yeah. she's gonna get her comeuppance. This is it right here.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting is we're only seeing, well, no, wait a minute. Now I see it. I was thinking that he just had a single blade. He didn't have
He's
the
got the
circular
circle.
saber.
He does,
But I
yeah.
just
I don't-
saw the
Do we
ring.
see
Right
the
here.
double blades? I don't think we see the double blades.
Yeah, he
We don't
pulls.
Yeah, we
brings
do.
the
Oh, there it
double
is, right there.
blade.
Yep.
There
okay.
we go.
Yep, and he throws it, you know, just like
Oh, right. I forgot about
Spinning.
that.
Yeah. Such
There
a
it
great
is.
move, which is
It
a
is.
Darth Maul move from the video game that they then basically canonized in Rebel Season 2, the way he kills the Seventh Sister, because he like
Mhm.
holds her there and then throws the lightsaber. So brutal.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's good. This this Inquisitor is better than most. Although
Not
he's
too
not
long.
paying attention, right?
He's arrogant.
He
Right.
underestimated the kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. He
That'll do it. That kid did not even blink, too. He wasn't
Yep.
like. And I say it all the time. You have to kill your enemies in Star Wars. One of the things that Ahsoka used to do is like make people surrender. And I was like, chop their heads off, girl. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
Kill him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, please. Like, the dark side's helpful sometimes. Like, don't live that way daily. Don't just go around
There's-
chopping people up. But like, this man's trying to kill you. Chop his head off.
You
What are we
know,
doing?
Obi-Wan just do a little force push to Anakin just to move him a little bit closer to that lava.
Yeah, straight into the lava.
New story.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that was one of my favorite bits in the novelization of Revenge of the Sith. Is that scene was really hard to watch in the movie, and it kind of left me a little confused. And in the book, they talk about that the Jedi thing to do, the compassionate thing to do, the thing that they would have taught him to do, would have been to end Anakin's suffering. Because he wasn't gonna live. If Palpatine had not interfered, he would not have lived. And it says in Anakin, or Obi-Wan says in his mind, he wasn't feeling particularly compassionate at the moment.
So what's funny is Anakin,
he said what he needed to say. He took his weapon and he walked away and left him to his own fate. You know.
And then the irony is that because he didn't behave like a Jedi, that's how Anakin then became Vader as the next step.
Yeah.
All right, everyone look for the next episode. Does it have next episode? All right, let's hit
Yeah,
next
I've got a
episode.
play button. Ready?
And
All right.
let's do it on 3, 2, 1, play.
Love it.
You have the- all right, here we go. I got the Disney Plus sign.
Yep, me too.
All right.
What's funny is they have the lightsaber as the Disney sign and all of this
It's like
marketing
cutting through
everywhere,
it. Yeah.
but it's not in the individual episodes of stuff.
I know.
Baby.
I know that infuriates
Got
Jeff
coffee
too.
delivered. Yeah, exactly. Jeff was like, "Why is it in the marketing but not in the actual episode?" I was like, "I'm with you."
I'm guessing because the marketing came after, right? Like they make the episode and they
Yeah, but,
stitch
like,
it together a certain way.
That's an easy flight, I would think, because all these things get just like popped in front of, you know. Yeah, but meanwhile,
So
speaking of
I-
Kenobi vibes, this
I was going to say, I think
world,
this is Dayu. We looked it up.
You
And
think so?
is anybody else massively annoyed that they are not continuing the Tony Gilroy trend of putting the name of the planet in the show?
Yes.
and the year.
And the
And the
Well,
year.
yeah,
I need
that's
Really
a great
bugging
at it.
me. I was like, what planet are you on?
And it used to be they would at least mention the planet at some point when you didn't get it up there, but now they don't even mention it. We get one name out of 3 or 4 planets, and it is irking me. I'm claiming this is Dayu. If you're not going to tell me, then I'm just throwing down. This is Dayu.
I need
this
a
is where
name
they
and
took...
a year. Like I'm real simple with this stuff. I want it like right there.
I'll let the year go. I'll let the year go, but you're just being a punk if you don't give
Yeah.
me a planet. I mean, come on.
Remember in Rogue One where every single like shot was like a name of a planet, except when we got to Mustafar and everyone's like, we all know. Like we all. It's the one thing. Like
you don't need to tell me what that is. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, just to go with that, we see the planets, except when we see the planet
Tested by
where.
patience.
Here's Sarah's favorite.
Anger leads to hate.
Anger leads to hate. I died. I hit the floor when that happened. Anger leads to hate.
I'll make an exception if you keep talking.
It is the two of these two need each other right now.
They really do. They really do.
Dynamic. All right, JB, what were you saying? We totally interrupted you there.
No, it's good. I mean, in the new, in our season 2, they are showing the names of the planets, except when they're hiding, except when Cassian is hiding. There's a little bit of a cloak and dagger to it.
I didn't think about that because you're right. They don't. Do they mention Dakar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Dakar they do.
It was Dakar.
But when
Yavin, they didn't put anything up was Yavin. You just had to know when they flew off.
Yeah.
But in that first arc, when he was trying to drop off the TIE fighter, they never named that planet.
They don't say that planet.
Oh.
And I'm like, is it because they don't know what the planet is? They don't care. They just know it's a habitable planet, and all they do is talk coordinates. It's not a named planet. It's not inhabited, so it doesn't have any.
Could be questions. Oh, here we go.
Oh, here we are making an entrance. Talk about an entrance, yeah.
And so I think this is how you do, I'll call it an Easter egg or a cameo well, because these characters are connected to Asaj.
Yep.
We know them from Clone Wars Season 2, which we are in our Clone Wars Revisited rewatch.
Started.
Yeah.
And we just started Season 2, so we're going to be, Cad Bane just made his appearance on last week. We will be
perfect timing.
Deep into Bounty Hunters. Which is great timing that we're like every now and then things sync up where I'm like, oh, we couldn't have planned this. But I like this girl.
Take credit for it. I do too. Yeah, I don't know. And the earring falls off.
Yeah,
yep.
It's so good.
I'm like, not the earring. No.
Yeah.
Very well done. Okay, what was with the you smell like a Jedi? What the hell was that? Is he too clean? He doesn't stink enough? I'm like, what was that? You smell like a Jedi.
Yeah.
What in the world?
People say things like with undercover cops that you can like smell them, you can sniff them
them
out.
Yeah.
So is that a thing? Is that what she's trying to reference? The line
Maybe.
created confusion for me because I'm really thinking, does she actually have heightened smell? Like I'm going like that literal with it in some cases. Yeah.
I'm like, do kyber crystals smell a certain way? You know, I don't know. Yeah. That was so funny. Yes. All loss of life is tragic. What? No, it was worth more money. Priceless. Absolutely priceless.
He really is a good foil for these three.
So another thought I had,
I'd like to point out
Underworld.
that Lattice is voiced by Claire Grant, who is married to Seth Green, another Star Wars frequent voice.
Great.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I know Claire Grant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know who that is. Yep. I forgot that she was married to Seth Green. I love Seth Green. He's one of my, I mean, Buffy and Austin Powers, and of course, like Toto 360. He's on my Rebels poster because he is in that one episode, and he's like, yeah, I didn't sign anything Rebels the entire time I've been here, but he did sign other Star Wars stuff because people know him as Toto, not so much Captain Seaver. And he actually we had to double check how to spell the name of the character because he didn't remember it. He loves Star Wars. You know what a big Star Wars nerd he is.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You'll
I really
regret
do
the
hope we'll get the
detours.
detours. Maybe for the 50th, Sherry. Do you think for the 50th they would be like, we're going to give it here's something for the long-term fans?
Oh, man, because I went to that panel and it was just so amazing. And I remember when George Lucas walked out because he worked on it too. And the whole place went wild.
All right, this is that starship that they're talking about. Is that what's in the image is the new ship? I'm trying to figure it out. There was a big ship.
Well, I was wondering if the thing they're trying to steal is the same thing that Cassian stole in season 1 of Andor.
That was a Pathfinder. That was like that was a star Pathfinder or something or other.
Okay.
This is a shield generator relay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's what's in that big bubble. That's usually on top of Imperial ships.
But they only needed the little piece, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah, big.
range detectors. Yeah.
Yep. But it's an interesting, right? Because she's selling it to
An
insurgents.
insurgency
So,
group?
you know,
Saw Gerrera.
Saw
Gerrera
maybe.
or Enfys
Yeah.
Nest.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Okay.
there's no rebel alliance. They're saying
Not yet.
insurgents, right?
Yep.
We're using the word insurgents most. If you say the word insurgent, I think Saw Gerrera, and I think there's also a chance that it's Enfys Nest and her crew, but like it's not the rebel alliance.
Yeah.
You know?
No, there would have to be somebody who has a big ship, because what would you need a shield generator that size for if you're just running around on speeder bikes, right? The question is, could it be used at like in a land-based installation, or is it specifically a ship generator?
I didn't think about that because that would be great to then protect a base. So if you're
Yeah.
on Dakar or wherever else, like you shield your
Or
location.
Enfys Nest to make sure that
Yeah.
when your little speeders are going around, when you get back to your base, you don't get taken out. But they didn't really seem to have that kind of technology when we saw them in Solo. So
What I like seeing like these characters now from Clone Wars is we've now seen how they've adapted. The galaxy has completely shifted, but they have learned how to adapt within their own syndicates and whoever they're kind of agnostic on who they're going to sell the material to, is who's buying and how can I get to it.
it's not like they're loyal to the Empire. Yeah.
Highest
So you can
IGN.
see there's all these bubbles across the way, and so I could be totally wrong here. I hope there's some tech head that comes out and leaves comments on YouTube and lets us know if I'm not right. But my guess is like this is like the computer chip that goes in to this is the programmable part, right? You need this piece in there in order to generate the shield and control it. And then the big bubble is kind of like the projector, right? Like it's what makes the shield, but this is the programmable bit, and it won't work without it. And so that's what you need to steal in order to control your shield generator. I don't know. That was my thought. But
Technobabble.
Technobabble.
They need a MacGuffin. They need a grabbable MacGuffin to drive the plot, and it's something techie, and it relates to the rebels or the insurgents or someone needing something to fight the Empire. Perfect. I need so little information. Like I'm good. We're gonna go steal something from the Imperials. Got
You're
it.
so funny.
Let's
See,
go.
and I love the details of like the industrial military
I
complex
love
of
this
the
shipyard.
Empire.
I love
You know,
this.
like
Oh,
how
I
are
know,
you
it
going to
is
make
neat.
that many Star Destroyers? Well, you're going to have this mass production thing, and you make it, and you plug in the chip, and then you attach it to the ship, and you go, right? Because they
I
talk
love
about
this
portable
design.
shield generators in Rebels, right? Like that's what they're
They
stealing
do it in
from the
Clone
Empire.
Wars too. Portable shield generators is definitely a thing, and so I was having this conversation. Actually, JB, you're the perfect person to talk to about this because we were talking about technology in Star Wars and how it varies. And I remember saying a long time ago, there's like consumer technology, and then there's government technology, and then there's military technology,
tech.
right?
Yeah.
My smartphone is a piece of consumer technology, but the internet was like made by the government like 40 years ago or whatever it was, and then it became consumer available. So you have to assume that like the tech that's being stolen is largely military, then being placed in the hands of consumers essentially, or insurgents or whoever, and kind of not knowing exactly what to do with it or not 100% sure, and it's always evolving. So I feel like the disconnect in tech over time periods often has to do with like who the end user is supposed to be.
I think that's right. I think another thing is, I mean, when you think about the Empire as a militaristic society, so they're pouring most of the funds into that, which means you can get great tech, but they've also stretched themselves out. So you get to places and where you need a lot of military technology, but maybe you don't have the most exquisite stuff because it's over towards the center of the galaxy. It's more the bases that are high end, but the outer rim bases. So yeah, there's definitely that. I love Star Wars for that reason, that there's a disparity in it. And we even see it, especially now under, in Andor, you see flip things versus as well as in the screens. So, but yeah, with
Or in
the
Solo,
Empire,
that's why you
and
use
Solo.
trains when there's spaceships, right? Because it's a
So,
backwater planet out in the middle of nowhere. You're not going to waste your spaceships on it when you can have an automated train do it for you instead.
And so many different environments, not all tech works the same in there. And when you're trying to protect it and harden it for military purposes, is it communications? Is it for battle? What is it for? Is it for, as the Empire goes and they're more of a, they're suppressing the population as a police force versus fighting a war, that changes. Yeah, it evolves. And you're pouring a lot of resources. You're starting to pour a lot of resources now into the Death Star.
You go from offense to suppression and defense of your installations and your material goods. It's a whole nother ball of wax.
And I like this time frame because which is why I really like the Bad Batch, is because I like seeing the technology shift from the Clone War technology to the Empire and how it changes in style, how it changes in.
There's our clone trooper. Yep. There's our clone trooper transports right out of the war. Yep. Pretty sure Padme fell out of the back of one of those.
that ship immediately screamed to me prequels, and I was like, yeah, that's I can see that scene too. It is funny how the tech actually goes from being sleek and stylish and modern feeling to very industrial,
clunky
and I would say tactical, and actually more military, and that is just functional. There's nothing beautiful about it.
You're also mass producing it, right?
Yeah.
You're mass producing things at scale, and so it's got to be reliable. It's got to. You also at a point where you're starting to recruit from the mass populations, so you're clone troopers who are bred to be the top end soldiers.
Yeah.
Now you're just throwing people.
See, this is the one place where I saw Asaj make a mistake. Like when the Night Sisters made her the deal, her first question is, at what cost? Like all she wants to know is, what is this going to cost me, right? Like that was the one thing I always appreciated about her. Except when she was constantly searching for Daddy Sith's approval. That was boring and tiresome. But here, why would you tell the bounty hunter that you don't trust, that you don't have the device? Why didn't you just say, we're coming out, we need a pickup? Why would you let her know ahead of time, we lost the device?
Yeah.
Duh. That is one thing you don't do, is overplay your hand. I mean, I know it's necessary to push the story along, but still, I'm like, I feel like that's a mistake Asaj would not have made. You keep that close to your vest. You make sure you get a ride on the ship before you tell him you lost the device. Like, really, girl? Turned out okay, which was great. But I'm like, would she really have made that mistake? Sus. It's sus.
It's a good question.
Yeah, maybe she really thought what's her name is a friend.
Yeah.
But,
well, and the episode's titled Friends, right? So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Misunderstanding people's relationship dynamics. That's tricky in Star Wars because I think because the galaxy has become such a difficult place to live, you end up in the prisoner's dilemma where you're always trying to put yourself first, when like the answer to most of the problems are community and helping each other. and I think like you get pushed into this box where it's like, well, I have to take care of myself at the expense of others, when cooperation is usually the thing that like solves the problem, and I think the Rebel Alliance proves that. But like, yeah, I could see why that other bounty hunter makes that decision. And I also see why it's the wrong decision. I think it's easy to see from the outside. If you're in it, though, you might be like, yeah, let's just get the Jedi. Asajj Ventress is smushed, one less person to deal with later.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I absolutely get that. And I also wonder if she started to make that kind of mistake because she has become friends with Lyko, because she's opening up to the boy. She opens herself up to other people that maybe she shouldn't. Next episode.
She also was never questioned and was always in command before.
That's true.
Good point. All right.
Let's do the next episode in 3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate that insight, Jay. That's a good point. You know, that she was always, everybody just did what she said. No one would have ever considered stabbing her in the back, except maybe Dooku, which she was prepared for. So.
That's the thing. There's a lot of like people who fell from rank, and we're actually going to see this in this episode coming up. There's another parallel where it's like, oh, I used to be in charge of something important, and people used to listen to me, and I used to have a place in the galaxy. That's another thing too. Like, what is your place in the galaxy? I think that might have even been like the big question that they posed at the start of like Tales of the Jedi or Tales of the Empire, right? What is your place in the galaxy? Especially when the galaxy used to be the Republic and now it is the Empire, and everyone's wrong, and now you're stuck in the military-industrial complex that you didn't sign up for, potentially as a civilian under like fascist rule, and you're like, but everything sucks now. I didn't sign up for this.
All right. Here is the point where I thought I knew who this young Jedi was.
Oh yeah.
I thought, oh no, they're on Tatooine. And this is the one. The Jedi that in Kenobi that tried to get Obi-Wan to save him and ended up being caught by the Inquisitors and hung in the square.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about him. That's
Sherry.
Funny.
That would.
This
be
is
so
hysterical.
Bleak. Oh my god.
This is hysterical. She's like, he insists, here, take my water, and there is none, and he cracks up. I was like, oh girl, we lost count of the size. Darn, we had at least 2 there.
Because he
love
does
this
have,
episode.
I remember that by being a young dark-haired kid, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
he fits it. And then
Meanwhile, I love
seeing
that the
this,
wipes are back. I love that we're
Yeah.
in like original trilogy wipes
Mhm.
between scenes. They do it a couple times, and I was like, "Oh, this is straight out of A New Hope." Which, by the way, they do it in the prequels a lot too. Someone
do?
put together like a supercut of all the wipes from the prequels, and I just watched it like this for like 10 straight
Mhm.
minutes. I was like, "This is terrible."
Really?
These
Oh,
editors
I
should be
always
fired.
loved that.
It's a
I
Lucas
always loved
style.
it.
Lucas
It's a
brought
choice,
that
and
to
I
Star
love
Wars.
it. I always did.
When you
Yeah.
see it all together, though, it's like
Maybe they overdid
borderline.
it. Maybe.
I don't know, like student film,
Mm.
But in this, I found it charming. I was like, yes, give
Yeah.
me that side wipe.
I'm sure he borrowed that from somewhere. I mean, he's such a student.
I knew this was going to happen. I'm like, bruh, do not put
Yeah.
your face in the slidey thing. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Actually, our first guess was we thought this was going to be a clone. That's what I thought it
so
was.
too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I was pleasantly surprised. I love it when they throw something new at us. That's what I'm tired of, is all of the old connections. It's the same people. I love that it was somebody new.
Yeah. I was like, who are we gonna meet? Which
Mhm.
yeah, they only
random-
call him grandfather, and I'm like, going, he looks familiar, but I couldn't place it.
and
Yeah,
I
if
don't
they
think
ever
we've
give
ever
us a
met this
name.
character before.
Mhm.
I don't think
I
so.
was really impressed with the medals on the wall until I saw what was on the medals.
I didn't get to see the details.
I'm pretty sure, Jay, back me up here. I'm pretty sure it's a TIE fighter wing.
I don't think so.
It's the side view of a TIE fighter wing.
Well, I mean, I think the medals look that way, but
Mm.
we're gonna find out he's separatist.
Yeah, he's a separatist. I thought he was Imperial because he's got that look, but
Right.
separatist
That's what I thought too.
Imperial. That's why I thought he was from the Republic at first, and that's like,
Mhm.
oh, you're a separatist. So
Yeah,
he and
he's a
Asajj
separatist.
were on the same side for a long
I
time.
don't know, man. I don't
You're
know.
right. The
They
designs
look
look
like TIE fighter wings.
yes,
Yeah.
that
I wonder if he was
hexagon.
a fighter pilot for the Separatists.
could be. I mean, we don't. Yeah, but I love it. I love the fact because him and Asajj are going to comment about the value of the conflict.
Mhm.
Who wins? Who doesn't?
I love that she got it. I love that she got it because not everybody did. Not even Rex did.
Yeah, and it's this goes back to your cooperation versus fighting.
Mhm.
To save yourself, and at what point in time do you give that up and actually cooperate and listen?
Mhm.
It's such a great episode.
Change your political
Mhm.
views completely, right? It turns everything on its head. And we've talked about this multiple times that like no one won the Clone Wars except for Palpatine, right? The Republic
Correct.
lost, the Separatists lost, all of the planets that were collateral damage, the clones, the Jedi, like it was a lose across
It
the
was
board.
100%.
And lots of suffering that happened with it, and lots of people whose lives were fully destroyed, and then the ripple effect that follows, right? Like the Empire spends 30-ish years just like removing everyone's freedoms and sending
20.
the technology backwards, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
we see it from like Phantom Menace to A New Hope, and they're like, what's the in-universe answer for why everything? And I was like, oh, we have a fascist regime that is making
True.
everyone poor and rely, and like they don't have water. Like, where's the
Mhm.
infrastructure, Empire? Like, where's my infrastructure bill?
There's no calcite for them to steal out of this planet, so they're not going to
Exactly.
waste any of their resources on it.
Yeah. Oh man, Andor. I can't.
And Cypher Canyon.
I
thought
love
that was
that
an
name.
interesting name, because I think back to Kenobi and all the ciphers and stuff that were on the
Mhm.
wall.
I loved that.
Look
I
at
was
that.
like, we now have to have something in our house named Cypher Canyon. I don't know what it is, but we have to find something in our lives that we can call it that, because that is the best name. I love it.
This episode definitely feels Kenobi-ish. I know,
Mhm.
Sarah, you were getting the vibes from that. Sherry, you were getting the vibes from that.
No.
Does.
I do love the battle droid. She makes another snarky line that we overlooked earlier.
Does.
That was the best.
She was like,
Effective as
as
ever.
effective as ever.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that was the best.
It really was.
Mm-hmm. But the scene that's coming up here, I really, the act of this episode with young Lyko and the indigenous people of this planet, I really, really love it because I think, to me, it really clarifies why I always have such a hard time with dark side users, villains, evil people. It's not hard to destroy things or tear them down. It's easy. It's simple. The difficult part is thinking and using your emotions and trying to build something. That's the hard part, you know? Everybody's always like, oh, dark side users are so badass. I don't know, to me, they always look weak. They always look weak. It's easier to shoot you in the face with a blaster than to try to figure out what you're saying to me because you're not speaking my language. That's not badass to me. That's very the opposite of courage. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very simple. I
I
like that diplomacy wins the day here, and that empathy wins the day. Empathy won't win the day in Andor, and I think that's sort of the point, right? Is that there's various ways of fighting. Saw Gerrera as an insurgent doesn't know the word empathy and is going to go extreme. And then you have Mon Mothma working within the system. You have Luthen infiltrating as a spy. Yeah, there's so many different ways in. But I love what happens here. Like, and this is where this kid really proves himself.
It does.
He's listening. Yeah.
Well, and it comes down to being able to communicate, which means you have to listen. And I think it's in episode 3. Padme talks about that as the war is like, can we just sit down and talk? Can we finally, can the two sides?
If we stop communicating with each other.
She starts beginning the one that starts commenting on that both sides are just fighting a war that neither one can end.
No one's listening anymore.
That's right. I remember in Clone Wars, do you remember the Separatist Senator Mina Bontari and her son Lux Bontari?
Yes.
Ahsoka has like a pseudo relationship with Lux. Mina Bontari was technically a separatist, but she wanted to remain neutral and like didn't want to be part of the war. And she was explaining how like the Republic was bad because like they're colonizers, right? Like she's she's actually talking in terms that I think we use a lot now about like indigenous rights and colonization and how we all understand that that's bad now, but like the Republic was doing this and they don't want to be a part of it, but they're in the war. So she's technically on the other side. I think it's actually called like Heroes on Both Sides, if I'm remembering the name of the episode.
Right.
Interesting.
I'm like trying to like pull this from my brain. I did not come prepared with this, but it's like that episode I think gives you like the best insight into like the way the politics of the Clone Wars really works and how like the everyday people and then the representatives of those people have to like struggle with this thing that's like so out of their control. And you think that they can make an impact there, but like they kill that lady. Like they're, you know, it just it does not work, you know?
No, because a Sith Lord is the head of the Republic.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the twisted evil part is that the bureaucracy starts being weighed down far before episode 1. That's what. Sorry, go ahead.
He's the Phantom Menace and the puppet master pulling the strings behind it. And
that if that isn't there, these legitimate complaints about ways to change the Republic, you have people like Bail Organa and Mon Mothma that are listening and they care. And I loved that in that episode of Andor where you can see she's going around to all of her allies and she's like, you've been voting with me on this for years. I've always been able to count on your support. What the hell is happening? You know?
It's slipping away.
If Palpatine had not been pulling these machinations, then maybe these complaints like the senator that could have been addressed. It could have been done. It could have been fixed. But the fact that there was a dark way full of evil, a quick and easy way, destruction, war, attacking each other. There was a quicker way to go. They didn't want to do the work of building things better. Yes, we colonized and we made mistakes. How do we fix this? Don't have to worry about that. We're just going to go shoot people instead, you know? Like this guy right here.
Bumper sticker slogans are easier when they're hateful as opposed to complex and
nuanced.
Solutions are never
emotionally
easy.
Intelligent.
Yeah,
never.
exactly.
Yeah.
Problems are easy. Solutions are challenging.
Yep.
Yeah. That's my bumper sticker. There you go. I do love this though. Like it feels a little quick, but I thought the music really delivered with it. I thought the acting.
The Kiners were fantastic in this.
Yeah,
so Deanna
always.
Kiner, have we ever seen her before? I saw her name pop up. And I know Sean and I know Kevin. I've seen them before, but I don't know that I've ever seen Deanna Kiner. She showed up as a third credit under music this time around, and so I'm quite intrigued. I want to know who she is. Yeah.
Here's the other thing you have to think: like this guy's grandfather. Those parents are dead, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's my assumption. Yeah.
The generational tragedy of it all.
And it's so easy to retreat into that. You know, he's like, I have as much right to this water as they do. Really? Why? Because you're a separatist. And aren't you colonizing this planet? Aren't you illegally squatting on someone else's planet? Why do you assume you have a right to their water? You know, so some separatists can have grand ideals, but he's doing the same thing. It's on a smaller scale, obviously, but he's doing the same thing. And then he's like, I can't talk to them. They're animals. Why?
Yeah.
Because they're not human?
And that's right. The way we treat indigenous
right.
species.
Mhm.
Exactly.
It's
and
all
people's,
there.
exactly. It's all there. And he claims to be a separatist. We were right. Why? You have the same ugly negative values that people were blaming the Republic for. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think, and I love
hard
that's
to
why
let
she
go.
said it's all you've ever known is fighting. Right? You're always looking for somebody to be angry at and point a gun at.
And that's a very, very true aspect. That's a very human aspect. When you've been fighting so long, one of the traps that you are in is it's hard for you to imagine something else. And it's hard to get out of it. Part of it is because of you're worried about your own security, you're worried about the future, and you think you're right. Or you've also made sacrifices. And what are those sacrifices for if I let that go and I try to do something else?
Well, I think that's kind of something we're going to have to deal with when we get to the end of Andor. If anybody actually survives, how are you gonna get out from under that? In all that sacrifice, all that struggle, and that was one of the things we talked about with Valencinta at the beginning last episode or in last season. It's all about the cause. It's all about the cause. Okay, well, when you win, then what's left? You've burned everything else.
Yeah. Have you thought about what happens after you win?
This was a little thing that bugged me. So obviously these warrior people must have made a deal with the grandfather. So the grandfather and his daughter probably got access to the water. What did the indigenous people get? We don't know.
That's a good question.
It's just like one of those little things. It's like,
It's not their story. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not getting injured or killed in battles over the water would probably be good. That's a good start. But I agree. They're definitely making larger concessions here. I like this line from Asaj. This to me was the moment where she truly showed her growth as a character.
Yeah, I like that. This is your path.
You deserve this. Like, you've earned it. She's like, I haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that was
too much bad blood.
That was the part of me that was worried. Like, I would be afraid if I made a deal with the witches of the Force and they said the only way you get to come back to life is for your heart's, it will cost you your heart's desire. I would be worried that if I ever clapped eyes on Quinlan Voss, he'd keel over dead.
Like immediately.
That was the deal. You only get to live if you never see him again. And if you ever cross paths with him, then he dies and it's your fault. Like, that would be where my mind would go. And I would be like, nope. I would rather think he's alive out there somewhere than run the risk of his death being the reason I'm alive.
And is that an EOP?
That's got to be right.
So its face is different from what we see on Tatooine, but what are those little ones that they ride on in the Rebels? The little creatures on Ryloth.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
and they're indigenous to lots of different planets. They're like everywhere, and so I kind of thought that this is the EOP type creature that evolved on
this planet.
I don't know the name of.
It's
that was one of the things that made me think it was Tatooine at first.
Blurgs, that's what they are. Like, there's different blurgs. They look different on every planet, but there's lots of blurgs everywhere. There's one on the Mandalorian planet. There's one on Ryloth.
Which is much smaller and like squatter than this. Has a long neck like a dinosaur.
Yeah,
but it's also got a really flat face, whereas the EOP kind of had a floppy nose. So that was my mind, is I thought it was an EOP too. And so maybe it just evolved a little different on this planet.
So to go back
if you ever go to Galaxy's Edge and go to Oga's Cantina, there's a drink called the Blurg something or another. It's really good.
That's
and it's non-alcoholic. So
I was too scared to try it. I was like, I don't want to
right off
to
to the sunset.
It was really good.
Asaj got to go off into the sunset.
Right off into the sunset.
I can't believe it.
So to go back to your comment, Sarah, on desire can quickly become obsession, which then can drive you into actions that you regret or are not helpful.
Interesting. Okay, are we ready?
Oh boy, I thought that was amazing.
I really enjoyed. I liked that arc a lot more than I thought I was going to.
All right, who is ready for Cad Bane?
Cad.
Here we go. Yeah. Are we ready?
3, 2, 1. Play episode. And this is new for me, so I'm gonna if I'm
Awesome.
more quiet than usual and intently watching, because I don't know
We'll try
what's
not
about
to
to
distract
happen.
you.
I didn't keep as
That's
many
okay.
notes on this one, this arc. In fact, I didn't keep any.
Yeah, I intended to, and then I was just watching the whole
Except who Colby was.
Yeah, right. Good life.
Again, no planet name.
Nope.
But this reminded me of Chicago.
Chicago, New York. We were talking about New York. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
definitely
seemed
had
this seemed very turn of the century New York to me, with the gangs of New York.
I
kind of
thought
stuff.
Chicago too, but yeah.
But definitely that era, that kind of
Mhm.
city, Yeah.
Every city's got that aspect to it.
Not everyone, but there's
It was
some
the
that are
raised
very,
transit. That
the L
made me-
trains.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. Me too.
Which I like. I love Star Wars to plop you in an alien planet, but give you just a little bit that you've got some familiarity to it, and so it just but can make it different enough, strange enough that it's new and it feels like Star Wars, and you've got
So I
aliens.
thought this was really interesting that even in the very beginning, the little boy with the blue coloring pulled something out of a trash can and started to eat it, and then when his friend came over, he pushed him out of the way and was like, "Get away from me! You can't have this. This is mine." They're both clearly in dire straits, but right off from the very beginning, he was elbowing him out and pushing him away and being like, "No, don't." There was no sharing, even though they're both in the same boat. Any y'all ever hang out around the convenience store or the candy store when you were a kid? They built a 7-Eleven.
I see the hat.
Outside. There it is.
Yep.
They built a 7-Eleven outside my neighborhood when I was growing up,
Mm.
and we were constantly being chased away from there, just like that guy did. Constantly.
It was video games and Slurpees, and then as you got older, video games and Slurpees with vodka.
I never got to have Slurpees. My mother tried to stop the 7-Eleven from being put in, and she literally forbade us from going there.
Oh my! I have never signed a petition to stop a convenience store,
Yep.
but that is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and my brother did end up getting cigarettes from there when he was a teenager. So
That's
it did.
part of it,
She
yeah.
was right. I think she knew my brother. I think she suspected. Yeah. Right down to the toothpick and all.
Yeah. Okay. We see who he modeled himself after.
Oh yeah.
That's a thing in Solo too. Han Solo, like with Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh, I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
Keep saying Val, but his name.
I saw,
Beckett.
Beckett.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. Beckett.
I worked on that trading card set. I should know. I remember getting that name way early. Even Kira, the way it was spelled, the QI''RA. And I was like, oh, just give us something useful to use for this trading card set.
But it's a neat question to ask. How do we each get our own styles? What influences us? What are the moments in our lives that we are influenced by things? And we want to carry forward, and who we want to become.
Mm-hmm. I like this AP droid.
Well, and his initials are CB, so I thought that was interesting. There's a lot of little things scattered around here.
Love these two.
This was hysterical. I thought this spelled like Rebels and Ezra and Zeb.
This is yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is those
Street
old
rats.
Star Wars gags that I love. This is where you get the humor.
This is more Space Aladdin like esque.
Oh, this is amazing. This like game of nonsense.
And then he says, "Oh, not again."
Yeah, because
Not again. They got a nice amount of fruit. That was like a good haul.
Yep.
Here's the sad part though, like you probably need to do that every day to eat.
Yes.
And can someone just employ these kids? Meanwhile, they're kids; they shouldn't be working. But like,
Well,
someone help these children.
This is addressed through the arc, Mark. Very good. Nice foreshadowing there. Yes.
Yeah.
Shouldn't someone help the kids?
Oh
Yes,
no,
yes.
it's going to be the man with the big hat. He's going to make them. Here's the thing: starving children in Star Wars are always just tools for some like terrible oppressor.
Yep.
That's exactly what happens here, and he knows it too. Yep. There's the coin flip.
It's the hook.
Also, I mean, he gave the coin to his friend. He gave the coin to Nero, but Colby yanked it away. I mean, you can just see the little behaviors between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
Well, yeah, and Kobe's
He's trying to do the
learn
coin.
how to move
Trying to do the coin flip.
So he's
Yep,
already starting to try to emulate some of the habits.
Doesn't let him have it back.
And they don't even know what it's worth.
Yeah, they have no idea.
Mm-mm.
Which is why if you were a shopkeeper, wouldn't you be a little suspicious? So these two grubbers walked in carrying a big shiny coin.
I'd be like, who'd you kill? You actually need food.
Oh, please. You're a kid who just got money for the first time in life. What are you going to buy?
I know.
Swizzle sticks.
Swizzle sticks, yes. Oh, what's back
I
there?
used to. Mahjong Den. I'm calling it. It's either it's the
the illegal card game. This is like
it's either Sabak or it's the Star Wars version of Mahjong in the Triad Den back there.
Crunchies.
Candy.
The giant cereal bin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get out your blue milk. Go have lunch with Cyril's mom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait a minute. Do we see a blue and purple one?
Nope.
Oh.
See, I thought those were candy machines.
Oh, they might be.
I thought they went for candy. But if it is cereal, it's definitely sugar-coated cereal because it's just covered in...
The sound definitely reminded me of those hard sugar-coated, cereals that are falling into your bowl, right?
Good point. I don't want to know what this guy does to that coin. It comes out kind of gooey.
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh.
But shiny.
I'll take your money.
Well, yeah, and I'm assuming that they didn't buy enough crunchies for that particular gold coin.
Oh yeah, I would say
he
no.
probably did not give them their change.
Oh, they're legit homeless.
Yeah.
So they don't have any parents. There's so many orphans in Star Wars. Someone was like, why is no one ever pregnant or having kids in Star Wars? I was like, because they all end up homeless. All the parents end up dead. And the war is on. It's in the title. It is constantly warring regardless of the time period. You're either in the war or you've lost the war and you're being smushed by the big panini. Like,
here's your big panini. Here's your reference, Mark. Look at you. You're just being prescient on here. This is amazing.
I've done.
Do you
been on this
ever
brand
miss
for too long?
Yep. Miss who? Your parents.
I didn't know
Which then
that.
makes me wonder: did Nero know his parents for longer or more than Colby did?
Yeah.
Maybe that accounts for the difference in their behavior.
I'm glad they're on rooftops at least, because it seemed like at first that they were like under a bridge or somewhere terrible.
There were still rodents.
Most definitely. So we had a bit of a discussion. The graphic for the show, I was like, why is there a giant 7 on it? I'm like, this isn't the 7th series. What the heck is that? We finally figured out it's the credit shape.
Yeah, it's
for anybody else who's a little worried about it, there's little lines through it. Because that took me a good solid minute and a half a cup of coffee to figure that out. Oh, here he is.
Businessman, and you're my investment.
At least they're suspicious.
You had a taste of the good life. They got to eat yesterday.
What kind of a smarmy person takes advantage of a kid that way?
I just thought that was sad that they had the 2 little toys over in the corner.
The little stuffed toys. And that was what he was reaching for in the convenience store. He wanted another toy.
Yeah.
They really are just kids.
They're just babies.
Meanwhile, if they were in the Jedi Order, they'd be on the front lines of the Clone Wars.
Right.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Kids in this galaxy.
So this is in the middle of the Clone Wars here, we think? Or, it should be the Republic, right? Because the Clone Wars only lasted a couple of years, and Cad Bane was an adult in the middle of the Clone Wars. So I'm assuming this is solid 15 years. 15 years or more into the Republic era. Yeah, this has got to be like 30 BBY, something like that. 35?
More than that, probably, right?
Yeah, because 20 is so this is probably like 40, 50 BBY, depending on exactly how old Cad is here and how old he is by the time we get to.
So Cad is, according to Wikipedia, Cad is born in 62 BBY.
And if
Whoa.
he's 10 in this,
About 10 or
we'll
12
say
here, this would be
52.
50.
50. Yeah.
Way to call it, Sarah.
Rocking and rolling this morning. Look at me mathing.
Look at us doing the Star Wars math. That came up. Did that come up last night too? The Star Wars math. We were trying to do that. Yeah, or not yet. Not yesterday. Friday during the Andor watch. We did a lot of recording
That's
this week. I had Clone Wars. We had Andor. We had the May the 4th
Love it.
special. We're doing
Now
Tales of the
Revenge of the Fifth.
Underworld.
Yeah.
We have no
Yes.
shortage of content right now.
None. It is good to be a Star Wars fan at this moment.
It's definitely a fun time. And it's only, I mean, we're finally back in theaters next year, which is
Mhm.
exciting. But I love television. I'll be honest,
Me
like,
too.
I prefer TV to movies. I like the longer form storytelling. You get to live with these characters. You get to keep it going. You also have,
Mark,
like,
stop. We're agreeing with each other.
Yeah.
What is wrong with the universe?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. Well, it's
Alright.
the dark side day. That's why.
That's
Ah,
why.
We're lined up on May the 5th.
All right, so we got the little street rats making trouble. Here come the muscle
They're the
droids.
distraction.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And see that one bad guy, gangster, looks like the grandfather.
He
Oh,
kind of
He does. No,
That's
I
funny.
I thought the same thing, that their styles.
It's
are
just a
similar.
very
Their
it's a
looks.
style that is
Mhm.
used over and over in
For
their
the pointy
animation.
face is the bad guy kind of thing,
The,
right?
Yeah.
the mustache. Yeah.
Oh, he definitely killed that guy.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
right in front of the kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Like to me, this would be sending off warning bells. Like red flag,
Yeah.
kid, red flag. Fucking run for it and run in the other direction.
Well, and so here's what was funny too, because in the when he's trying to sign them up, you think, Nero's going to help him. Like, we don't want to do this. This isn't right. And he's like, instead of 5, give me 10. Cad comes back, or what will be Cad, but
Yeah, like
He's
Nero
done
is sure that this is not a good idea, and the only thing
Mhm.
Cad cares about. And so this is the word that I'm picking up on here with Colby is pride. That was the word that I started to pick on. He was proud of the fact that he never knew his parents. He was proud of the fact that he was negotiating with this mobster, that you're not going to give me 5, you're going to give me 10. He's too proud to go back and get caught by the cops.
I think it's part of it. I think he's also trying to look for power and agency, right? He's a kid. He's a street kid right now with nothing. He is trying to figure out,
Because he does not want to be humbled, because he
Mhm.
is too
Yeah, he
proud
does.
to admit, I'm struggling, I need help, I don't have a place in this world, I should have a family.
I think this is why he's emulating him. He is looking to try to gain his own control and his own power and his own abilities to live and gain more.
And them killing that bouncer, I think that was what crossed the line for Nori.
Yeah.
And we
for
find
Nero.
out what
Yeah, right in
happens
front
to
of
him
him.
later.
He wasn't sure to begin with, and it goes very south.
Yeah,
He
had
thought
to
he was just going to
hesitate.
make a bunch of noise outside, and
That was it. Yeah, he never suspected that anybody was going to be murdered right in front of him.
That was
Uh-huh.
rough.
yeah, no, it's
It doesn't get any better, sadly.
Look, it's Tales of the Underworld. I didn't think it was going to be
That's
cute
true.
and fun.
I thought Asaj was kind of fun. I thought it came out well.
Asaj was fun. Asaj was surprisingly fun. They
Like I
lure you
said, they
in.
kind of went in different directions. They started skewing pretty hard. Yeah.
All right, let's get ready for episode 2, or I guess episode 5.
Uh-huh.
A
Cad
good
Bane. All right,
turn.
good.
3,
Mhm.
2, 1, play.
We have to make sure to label the episodes so people like Spencer don't end up playing the wrong one.
Oh my God, I can't. He's batting 1,000 on that. We're gonna forever make fun of him.
We love you, Spencer.
Yes, we still love you, Spencer.
He's right. He and I
is
text
sick.
every day, and there's so many things brewing. And reminder for everyone: Texas. Wednesday, huge announcements coming on all things
Yes,
Texas
check out the news
front.
desk.
It's gonna be, the news desk is gonna be wild because it's me, Spencer, and the boys from Rebel Scum. So it's gonna be we're gonna go through the guest list of our event. We're gonna talk about what they're doing for Rebel Scum. So it's gonna be so much fun.
Here we have yet another planet with no name.
Or a time period, and there has to be a time jump.
There is,
because
and
he
this
gets
is the
considerably older.
Yes.
the
A big
two
time
arcs.
jump.
Yeah, we have one arc that's very linear. That's almost each.
One after the
Asaj's
other.
happens one after the
Yeah.
other one, and this one jumps.
I mean, he
in
has to
time.
be at late teens, early 20s here, right?
Yep.
So it has to be an 8 to 10 year jump.
So this, in theory, could be during the prequel time period, like maybe during Phantom Menace, before the Clone Wars. Not sure yet, but
yeah, right around there. Well, and also the actor who originally did Cad Bane is now stepping in and modifying his voice, making it a little higher to
Okay.
indicate youth. So that's another big jump about how far of time we're progressing. We no longer have a child actor.
We've got
doing
we have
voice of
Corey
Colby.
Barton. Corey's
Yes.
back.
Yeah, Corey's
Yeah.
back.
Corey's back,
good.
but he's modified his voice some.
Mhm.
But you
Makes
can hear
sense.
it.
You can hear it, yeah, with the way he lives and the way he uses certain vowels or consonants. That that little accent going on. Yeah.
And his voice is very like he like almost runs like a vocal fry on his voice, in a way that I can't explain, but he's so good.
Well,
Nika
and
has that a little bit too with
And it
Asaj.
drops this episode.
Yeah.
Like it starts up here, and you can hear it getting lower and lower and lower until it almost hits that
As he
register
sinks into
that
his
we're familiar with.
darkness.
Yes.
The metaphors are everywhere.
Ooh, crash landed. And I love how he doesn't move. He just stands there and watches it slide in.
He like calculated the
He
slide.
knew how far it was going to go. Everybody else is ducking for cover, and he's like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good."
I'm waiting. Don't end up like Wash and be a leaf on the wind.
Oh, did I mention this
Who's
on here
Dan?
that I thought the music from Asaj's whole arc was all very Firefly inspired? Like I was feeling the Firefly throughout like her situation. And this is also a space western. So
It is.
Firefly's
It's-
all over this series.
This is why, yeah, I feel like this series is Gangs of New York meets a Western, right? It's you've got those blending.
Wait, so is the lead guy with the hat dead?
They'll
Yes.
explain it. They'll explain
Yes,
it.
he is.
Oh.
No, did you miss it? Or yeah, I already said
Well, I
it.
mean,
You
I saw
said
him pick up the hat and he was like, who did
Yes.
this? And I was like, did we see a body?
We did not
No.
see a body. The whoever the pilot,
The
said
co-pilot.
the lawman,
The lawman got him. And then he died.
Oh, and the lawman is going to be the green friend from the first episode. Come on now.
Hero.
Yeah, he was taking revenge, obviously.
We've got a step.
I do enjoy the fact that the kid who's arrested at a young age then decides like law and order is going to be my thing. Like I could see that path.
He's
Like,
saved.
like, hey, I messed up.
He turns it around because it's hard
Yeah.
work, right?
Yep.
Yeah. People are still digging in the trash.
Yeah, things haven't gotten better on this planet, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Not much. It's just hanging there. So now we have a new buddy that was supposed to help stay behind.
It's
take care of
not
him.
just a buddy; it's Aaron, a female.
Spoilers.
Well,
Yes, but this is Aaron.
And-
Then we got reflections going on here, and then suddenly,
I think that's the building that the
yes,
old
that's
deli
the
was
shop.
in.
But yeah, he's looking at his reflection, and then Nero comes in over him, and Nero's kind of surprised. He's like, "Oh, hi."
Well, and look who gives the hug.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Calling yourself Cad, huh?
Right, because he
And
was
the other
Colby in the last
Mhm.
episode.
guy.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Messy business.
Mhm.
Mhm. I'm a deputy. hmm And then see the pride comes in, right? You know, first I'm happy to see you, but then it's like, oh, well, you're all fancy. Look at you. You cleaned up your life. You know, it was the marshal who did it, not me.
Why don't you say Marshall?
See, we're going to turn things around here. Not look at it, but there's progress.
Yeah, where's his loyalty gone to? Where's Cad's loyalty? It's now with the gang, with the
As opposed
versus
to
his friend. I mean, he's
Aren't you-
conflict. There's a little bit of conflict with him right here, but he's clearly chosen a side.
Out of pride, right? Because he's like you said, that's my old neighborhood. This is where I used to live. And instead of being proud of his friend for trying to help and turn things around and make things better, he's like, I don't need you. I'm going to be over here. I'm going to take care of business. I'm going to make my money. You know, he was looking for power. And now that he has it, he can't admit that maybe this wasn't the right way to go about it. He doesn't want to admit maybe I could have made a better choice. And it's standing right here in front of me. We were in the same place. We came from the same place. We were in the same circumstances. He made a different choice. And there's no way I'm ever going to admit to him or anybody else that maybe that was the better choice.
It goes back to that question of being an individual versus being part of a community, because His friend stayed behind to help the community. He is out on his own for his own. Now, granted, he was part of a crew.
He's
but
part of
like,
that crew, right?
you know,
Well, and even Aaron is like, hey, come on here. Like, even the community of his is like, you're taking this too far. There's more going on here.
She is, yeah.
Pay attention. Look at what you have in front of you. Quit being so
she's gonna
blinded
die, isn't she?
by
Come
your
on,
pride.
Ugh. I'm gonna flip another table.
No, you don't. You won't have to. I think you're gonna like it. I think you're gonna approve. Come on, James.
It is leading us that way, though.
You think we would think so? Yes.
There's some interesting foreshadowing, and then what actually unfolds, I thought was fascinating. It's a very well written story. It's got a few surprises to it.
Yeah, he admitted to unlike most Star Wars stories, he admitted to the marshal. He knew what was going on. He asked for permission to go talk to him. Like, yeah. And then the marshal was like, "Oi, I'm gonna do my best." But
yeah, I like that he stored his gun.
Yep.
Because they're in the paperwork portion of the job right now.
Yep.
So
don't have it on you.
they have like processes and procedures and rules and like an organizational structure. It's not the Wild West where he is. He's in a government.
So here again, we have
building.
reflection. He sees himself as a small child, and what does he do? Shoots it. Does not want to talk about that small child. He is too proud of where he's gotten to now. He's literally blowing up a piece of his childhood. Mm-hmm. She's not happy about it either. Snazzy little cop speeders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do like the cop cars are the same everywhere.
Red and blue, right? I mean, it's universal.
No interesting colors, just always red and blue. 2 shots to the right. There he is. Well, you can hear the growl starting to come in. I find it interesting that they said officers and they're droids.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We got
That's such a great
standoff
shot.
at noon
Mm-hmm.
and the OK Corral.
Mm-hmm. Fire and all.
A lot of that. A lot of that style and theme.
Oof. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Can't let it go. My pride won't let me.
Mm-mm.
Where's your like blaster-proof armor?
Right.
Yeah, I guess bounty hunters don't need that. I don't know.
Well, the cop didn't have one either.
Not in the budget for the cops.
Aw.
We have a future.
Yep, she's trying to reach him. She's trying to talk to him. That's not what she wants, bro.
But another bit of foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
That I didn't pick up on
Yep.
in my original watching.
That's up to him. Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can see it there.
Yeah.
Well, now he feels betrayed by her.
His pride's gotten in the way again. Doesn't matter. The only thing she wanted was for you to live. You're just too proud to admit what he did.
Well, I'm glad she got shot and not killed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I hope it was worth it.
I hope it was worth it could be like the tagline of almost every Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
How many times have I shouted that at the screen in our household?
Yeah.
Was it worth it, you jackass? Yeah, every time.
Bad decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, girl. That was good. I did not see it going that way. I did not think they'd get him into custody.
Yeah,
so
that was a surprise. I was surprised by that also.
Me too.
That he actually
obviously-
did score some prison time.
And they witnessed him murder that guy. He should be in prison forever. So we'll have to see what happens. Okay. All right. One episode to go, guys. We're in the home
There we are.
stretch.
Yes.
There we
All
are.
right. Final episode. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, play.
One good
I'm really
deed.
loving these so far. I think this is significantly better than Tales of the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think, well, they're longer too, so
Yeah.
I think that gives time to kind of develop the story a little more. I'm hoping, while this was not my favorite character to follow in this particular arc, I'm hoping that's a sign of good things to come. If we keep getting these tales of ideas, that maybe they'll be a little bit longer going forward as well, with maybe some more interesting characters. So yeah.
Tales of the Droids.
I want tales of Andor. Tales of the
Mandalorian's a
Rebellion.
good idea.
I want the little bits and pieces of people who were the gaps in between. That's what I would love to see.
That would be cool.
If they've known since they were filming season 1 that they were going to make these jumps in Andor season 2, they would have had plenty of time to work on cartoons by now. But you can see it got better. Green trees,
The beautiful park.
people playing, not hiding and scared anymore. People
Another
out doing
time jump.
So we
shopping.
have made a big time jump again.
Yep.
Yeah. What's this? This guy's causing some havoc. Oh, that's what's his
Recognize
name?
him? Yep.
Yeah.
Guess
And the
who's
other, what's his
back?
name? Mr. Mustache.
Mustache.
Mustache Man.
Vaclaco.
Take ready. He's got the marshal badge on now. Locked up on Piranha. Won't be out for another 5 years. So, yeah.
Telling you, this doesn't work with these types. But,
Nope.
Bane is out?
Mm-hmm.
At least early on a technicality.
It's the only thing that frustrated me is they don't explain what the technicality is.
It is what it is. There's a shuttle at noon. Oh, talk about your high noon there, Sherry.
High noon. Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
I think Nori is thinking he can still get through to him.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think he's hoping for that friendship. He's seen what success is like in the town.
He's very calm and he's very measured, right? As opposed to the young, scared kid or the gung-ho rookie. He's now matured into someone who looks at the big picture, is emotionally intelligent. He's evolved in the complete opposite direction of what everyone else is afraid Cad Bane is like. Yeah.
He takes protecting people in this community. It's his highest calling.
He's also a little bit naive, right?
Mhm.
To think that it's like that trouble isn't headed directly toward him.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to panic. And there's a reason he doesn't want to panic.
He doesn't want to make others around him panic, I think.
Yep.
But internally, he must be plotting. Because you'd also have to think, you'd have to have a plan for what that day looks like.
Yeah, he shows up, we'll be ready, right?
Yep.
He's like, I know.
Well, that's what his old boss says: is don't be scared, be ready.
Be ready.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I loved
When
kind
you
of
do
the not fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate, right? Don't be afraid.
Anger
Be
leads to
ready.
hate. I'm going to start doing that on
Everyone else is
Yeah.
afraid for him.
Yeah. Well, and his deputy that's an interesting contrast between him and his deputy right now, and the choices they're going to make in this episode.
He doesn't know the whole story, and I'm not going to tell him. I thought that was an interesting line.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and now he's got the little flip twirl with the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Aw.
He's got his own skills. I mean, we know Cad has fantastic weapon skills, and I think Nero does too.
See, he doesn't call him a bad man. He says, when Isaac asks if a bad man's coming, he just says, not on my watch.
Town council and the mayor.
I find it telling of his character as people are trying to protect him in this situation.
It tells me that he's done a lot of good for the community, and they respect him for that.
Yeah, agreed.
I like that they're just like, how about we just kill this man when he arrives? We'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
We'd be cool.
Just mow him down. Take the droids. Just mow him down the second he gets off the show.
Yeah.
As we've discussed, there's certain moments in Star Wars.
Yeah. This brings up a great philosophical debate, right? This man has served his time. You don't know his motivations for coming here.
Right.
Yes, his accomplices are also on. So from the outside, it certainly does look like trouble is a brewing, but we don't know for sure. And so law enforcement says you need proof. Like cops can't just like run up on you because you're a former criminal. Like we have rules in this country, right?
Like you said, we both changed, right? Like it's not fair to. I mean, he got arrested.
Yeah.
And he turned it over to the marshal, you know, so he doesn't know. Everybody's
possibly the
scared of
most
him.
popular politician in all of Star Wars. Or I guess he's not a politician. He's a community service person.
Yeah.
He's the not the deputy, the marshal. But yeah,
The deputy is just
You know, and
he's
again,
present.
it's easier to break things, right? It's easier to assume he's a bad guy and let's gun him down than to actually wait and find out. Listen, try to figure it out, give him the benefit of the doubt. And most often, you're the one who ends up paying for it in the sacrifice. It's always harder to be the person who tries, you know?
Oh, what happened to Aaron? Oh, is he married to Aaron? Ah! Storm about to roll in off. Ah!
good line.
It's probably crappy whiskey anyway.
Yeah.
I like
Also,
it.
I'm on the clock. Like,
Right.
I'm working. Excuse me.
yeah.
It's not gonna be my last drink.
Same
There's
old charm.
echoes, obviously, of what we know that's going to come to Cad fate in Book of Boba Fett, right? That how he's walking into town, he's bringing the trouble, he's coming to settle a score. Turns out differently in the future, but
I love the big hats. Big hats in Star Wars, man.
Gotta love them.
Love them.
They make for great antique shop pieces, you know, and there's all the huge headdresses and pieces. But again, I mean, look at what the town council was saying. If you'd had a bunch of droids standing there with guns, you'd have had all those civilians in the way that would have been put at risk. Just trying to, and of course, he's the last one off the ship. He's not stupid, you know, and I bet you Nero knew that too, you know. Give him his hat. Needs his hat now. No one's seen her.
Well, that caused him to stop and think.
I mean, it's been long enough that the man's got like lines and wrinkles now, you know, so he was in prison for a while. Deputy turned in his badge.
Which
Left
means he's going to
the
go
kid.
do something stupid as
Yeah.
like.
Left the kid alone at the
Mhm.
cop precinct. Turned in his badge and ran away like a little coward. Unbelievable.
Or was he going to go do something reckless and didn't want to have his badge while he did it? Right? Is that your? But no, he ran away. Oh,
He chose
boo!
to.
Everyone boo that man.
Boo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to
that
find
was-
like the
That
more
was good.
nuanced,
I
complicated answer.
appreciated the.
I honestly thought maybe he was working with Bane. Like that's what
Yeah.
I was afraid of at first.
Oh,
But no,
sure.
yeah, my
Mm.
first instinct was he was with him being the one being all scared, and they're like, well, no one would blame you, Marshall, if you just disappeared for a while.
Mhm.
Like he was the chicken, is what I got out of it. So
Yeah. Which
And
again
whereas
adds to
the Marshall's
Nero's
like he's no
character.
coward.
Yeah.
Something's bothering him and he won't say. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ding, 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 ding. Mayor put it together.
Mhm.
Isaac is not his son. It's going to be Cad Bane's son because
And
he is
I
blue.
didn't get it yet.
He's
Really?
blue. Here's the
Really?
thing, though. I mean, we don't know how race works in Star Wars. I mean, Jason Syndulla makes no kind of sense. But like, right? He's got green hair.
Look,
Girl,
Montrails are recessive genes, okay?
I
I'm sorry.
Yes, he has green hair. He's like a white human with green hair. What the hell is this? What in the Mad Libs? Like, someone was just like, also, we need to do this
Question.
cheaply.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that may be true too.
Yeah.
But then you see it when she's injured. You start to see,
She's like, we
We're
have
protecting-
a future. I need you to be alive.
and
There's
you
more
see
at
where her
stake
hands
than
are to
you
protect
know.
herself.
Yeah.
To protect.
Mhm.
But also,
And
he
here
gets
Nori
racist.
is calling him Colby again,
Yes.
going back to the childhood name.
I think he always does. I'd have to. I don't think he
She's
ever
gone.
uses CAD, and I think that's significant that he's trying to get back to his friend.
Oh, he's trying to.
Mhm. She died a few years ago.
Ah, that's horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
This episode just kind of keeps moving the tension. And
Yeah.
I think that's why I think it's significant the deputy runs away. He's at his breaking point, right? And so the tension, there's not a lot of action until about now, but it just keeps ratcheting it up.
Oh, okay. That bounty hunter we had never seen before, so it's not surprising to me that he was killed. We've seen the lizard dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hi, baby boy. Do you need some love and attention?
Oh,
Mr. Hicks
of
is
course
over
he does.
here.
Of course he does.
Yeah, no, it's been minutes since I pet you.
Yeah. There's something Aaron wanted you to know, and he just immediately says, I'm done talking.
Mm-hmm.
His pride gets in the way. It just, yeah.
What an amazing! I mean, the cinematography in this, or however, the framing, like, just it's so gorgeous.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that that's something that Dave Filoni learned from George, and then Dave has passed on to everybody else in Lucasfilm Animation, and that they're still working that way. That you have the previs and you shoot it as if it were live action. You don't fudge it because it's animated. Nero, right in front of the kid,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and the way he like nervously looked over at him as he was running. Right? I mean, just.
I mean, I sort of expected this is where this was headed because he doesn't lose a gunfight.
Yep.
Right.
Not everything. Yep. So they had to throw it to us.
And that's when I got it.
Yep.
I'm a little slow this morning. It was early.
It was
There's a lot
early.
to take in. These
Well,
are
and I
hadn't
characters
had
that are like
coffee yet.
deep and complicated, and who knew that Cad Bane had a son?
Yeah.
Like,
And it's not, I mean, they never explicitly say it. There are hints, there's some clues along the way, and then finally there's that. I mean, and then Cad makes this decision.
Okay, he just leaves.
Mhm.
Says, you told me to stay away. Goodbye.
And I think
Well-
that's interesting with the name change, right? I mean, we see that with Sith take on a new name when they take on essentially that dark side persona. Cad, he's not, he's not Colby anymore. He's
Mhm.
left that life behind. He's sacrificed that for now, who he is now, and he thinks it's better. I don't know.
And to me, it was like the only right decision I ever saw him make. Like he didn't want to cause this kid to have the same life he had, even though he
Broke
was
the
too proud to walk away, too proud to stop it, to change it, to admit he made a mistake, too proud to even listen to the fact that this is your child and Aaron couldn't tell you that. That this was the only decision he made that was good that I remember.
So now we have an idea of how long he was in prison. I mean, you have to sort of judge how old the kid is, but which is
5-6 years.
Everyone check into the Wikipedia. I'm sure either later today or tomorrow, and
You're
it'll all
right.
be updated with all the stuff.
Yeah,
Those people
Love
are
it.
on it. They're-
Yeah.
New content drops, and they're in it like as it's happening.
In my headcanon, it's Pablo. He's up there filling everything in on Wikipedia.
Yeah, they have quite a team of mods. I mean, our
That's
mod
cool.
squad is pretty damn good too on the virtual
Absolutely.
Cantina site.
Mhm.
Also, I think we're up to over 93,000 fans
Yes.
on the fan
Yes.
site.
That's
So
awesome.
Sherry's just approving people like this, like all day.
I've taken a break this morning.
Good. Please. We've been putting
deserve it.
Sherry to
Well
work. She's
deserved.
been on every
Yes.
watch along. She's just modding all day. I am incredibly overwhelmed by how good both of these arcs were. Like, I thought it was just going to be fun and light and easy, and I kind of felt that way about Tales of the Empire. Like, I like my Barris stuff, and I thought the Morgan Elsbeth stuff was fine. But like, these are never things to like write home about necessarily. But man, those were great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
a lot of story packed in every single episode, and they connect. But you don't. I felt like each of the episode doesn't suffer from having to be part of an arc. They didn't give up anything in those, and the production value is just
That's
fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looked expensive. Sherry, what were your thoughts?
Well, I loved all 6 episodes, and I was just, I don't know why I was expecting we'd see more of Ventress early life when I thought, oh, we've already covered all that. Of course, it was going to be in that period where we haven't seen her. And I really like getting a little bit of where Cad came from, knowing he was a street urchin and he had to fight for everything in the beginning.
What I like about the Cad story is we got Nero's story.
Yes.
We got a character we didn't know about, and in telling Cads, we got to know him and who he was and the character of him. And yeah, that's he's now a part of the Star Wars, world universe. So
I do appreciate that. My only issue with Cad, like I said, I got kind of bored because I had it pegged. As soon as we saw him, he's going to imitate this guy or whatever. Like, and I hit every beat, which I don't often do. It's kind of why I tend to avoid spoilers, because I don't want to have a preconceived notion going in. But I felt like in the first 5 minutes, I knew exactly where this was going to go. And then in the second episode, once we introduced Aaron, I was like, oh, okay. Like I knew. So I was just like, yada, yada, yada. Okay, let's get to it. Yes. Oh, it's his kid. Okay. Like I knew. And so I think for me, that's why it was kind of uninteresting. But I watched a lot of Westerns growing up with my dad.
Yeah.
So this felt a very familiar storyline, a very familiar patterning and everything for me. And so I think that's why I wasn't particularly enthralled with it, but it was good. It was well done. And I kind of like the idea of newer generations of Star Wars fans coming in and this being their first introduction to something like that storyline. I love that concept of it. I love that idea of it. That you can see, especially, people who are having a hard time, and who knows the way the world is going right now, there may be a lot more street urchins out there. And so to give them hope and knowing that, just because you have a tough life in the beginning doesn't mean you have to turn out to be a bad guy. There are choices, there are options, there are possibilities. There are communities out there, as Mark likes to say. There are, and that tends to be the better choice. So let's choose that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Choose empathy. Choose love. But if you're watching Andor, choose violence. Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
This is true.
I am
Comes at a
excited
cost.
about Andor this week. As I've mentioned, I'm going to be insufferable. It is Mon Mothma week.
K2SO.
And K2SO is going to appear, so
I'm
Sarah's
going to
going
be
to lose it.
insufferable about
The
that.
Gorman
yes.
massacre is coming.
Oh,
Oh, it's a
I
can't.
lot.
didn't think it was. I thought
Yeah.
it was going to be closer to BBY, to the actual Battle of Yavin. I was really surprised that it was coming around in the third arc, and that they started it as early as they did.
Yeah.
I'm kind of gobsmacked. I'm like, well, what's the whole last year going to be then? You know, like I thought we were that was going to be the end, the last bit of it. I was like, okay, this ought to be really interesting.
BB1's going to be the aftermath.
Yeah, but I'm like, oh gosh, so I'm really excited.
And I think it's when, well, the Rebel Alliance is finally going to come together.
The growing pains of it, right? Because we're still seeing it kind of falling apart in Rogue One. Like they never actually all got on the same page. So yeah, I'm real excited for that. But I will say I will refute you just a tiny bit, Mark, that empathy does win in the end, as far as Andor goes, because in Rogue One, both Jyn and Cassian had to have empathy for someone other than themselves in order to do what they did.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And in the long run, for sure. And the short-term violence, though, we can get behind in certain places. I am excited to see Mon Mothma just like tear it all apart next week and
I
become
can't wait to
enemy
see her
number
blow up that
one.
empire. Yeah,
I'm
throw
so
down
ready
on
for
the Senate
that.
floor. I can't wait.
And so we got 2 weeks left, kids, on Andor.
But 6
which is
episodes,
crazy.
like,
Yeah, it's a
so
nice amount
much.
of content. More than this. This was like one episode of Andor. Crazy.
Well,
Yes,
and
it
it's
was.
like I like being able to see the whole arc, not having to wait. But I also hate it because it makes it over too soon.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that bittersweet of it, right? Yeah.
I
think they did find a good balance, though, because one of the biggest complaints I heard, especially from Star Wars fans, is that season 1 of Andor was too slow. And I was like, oh my God, it's so boring. Why is it taking? I loved
it. Was that slow
building.
buildup that kept me wanting, loving it.
A lot of people didn't. And so I think they might have hit just the right stride between being too overwhelming and cramming too much, or leaving too much out and being as slow as they were in the first season. Because once they made the choice not to have 5 seasons, they were going to have to change the format. And so, so far, I'm pretty impressed with how they've thread that needle.
I think it's an interesting blend we're in a binge society. We love to have everything drop and people binge it. So it's a good blend between binging and serial storylines, where you get a little piece and then you have a bit of a breather, you get to digest it and you see the next thing, which is something that we know that George Lucas was inspired on and wanted to make Star Wars that way. So I think it's a great blend. You get a pretty big chunk. You get a full-length movie chunk of it, in 3 episodes that has an arc. So you get to binge 3 episodes, but then you've got that break to get to the next one, but you're not waiting 16 weeks or whatever.
And you still have to know it's over, because there is no more
It's
Andor
coming.
after this. That's hard. I've never had it end in such a finite way before, to be, other than Rogue One, right? Because you know where they were going and it wasn't going to go well.
And we know where Andor's going to end up too.
I'm really curious about a couple of things. During Star Wars Celebration, Diego Luna said, I really hope that when you finish season 2, you go back and watch Rogue One, because he said walking into that alley, you're going to have a whole other perspective. You're going to see the movie in an entirely different light. And so I'm like,
recontextualize.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm like paranoid now. What's going to happen?
It's going to be quite the ending. Look, I think Andor is creating some of the best Star Wars we have. And in general, I think Star Wars is on a nice little upswing at the moment. This was a blast.
And I think it really shows how much good storytelling you can get in just short little snippets of animation, which, if you like this, you should check out Star Wars Visions. There's a 3rd season coming out later. Come on, folks, get on the animation train. It's fun to be here. October. Just in time for Halloween.
It's the Lego stuff that's hitting in September.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes.
So okay. Yeah. So more animations on our way. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for our Revenge of the Fifth watch-along for Tales of the Underworld. This was a blast. I hope everyone enjoyed their villains. Everyone have a villainous day. Be sure to check out Clone Wars Revisited tonight. We are actually deep in the Bounty Hunters rewatch, which is really great, season 2. So yeah, the
Yep.
timing is perfect. And then the rest of the week, we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up. We've got a new episode of the Nerf Herders. We've got the Andor Watch-a-long on Thursday and Friday. And then I think there's a new Unifying Force this upcoming Sunday.
On Sunday.
So
Excellent.
busy as always. Oh, and of course, Wednesday, the news desk for us to
About
go to
Rebel
Scum.
Texas.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk all things Texas,
All
Rebel
the big
Scum
news.
Com.
Yes.
Check it out.
Yeah. It's going to be a blast over there, and I do not have a graphic for Rebel Scum Con for some reason, but just know that big news is on the way.
Can't wait.
Mhm.
Well, since we usually say "May the Force be with you," and I know that Asaj said it in this episode, I feel like there's got to be a dark side equivalent to that, and I don't remember what it is, but
Oh boy.
yeah. I feel like it should just be like
Yeah.
anger leads to hate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anger does lead to hate, even when we're kidding.
Use your
So,
power. I
yeah.
don't know.
That's
What is
true.
it?
Yeah.
The power of the dark side.
Yeah, it was a fun
Mhm.
look. Love these dark side characters. All right.
Yes.
Well,
Absolutely.
thank you everyone for
Thank you
joining
so
us.
much.
Yep.
Thank
May the
you.
Force be with you.
Bye.